It is the weekend of the birth of Mr. Dean Saunders. This is the lovely LooseCast. We've got lovely Laura coming up later to sit in chair number 4. Anth Hepburn to my left and the birthday boy to my right. What is the... Are you happy to reveal the date of your birthday? Not the year, but are you happy to reveal the date?
Yeah. October 14th.
Oh, so it is literally tomorrow?
Yes, tomorrow.
Right, so talk us through how you are going to, because I'm sure you've extensively planned this. What's your day going to be like from waking up all the way through? What are you going to do?
Well, it depends because, as we've just discussed, there's a Hannah Lang pop-up at Oosburn Gardens tonight. So it depends whether I have a beverage.
Is that a late one, though? Or is that like an early finish? Is that like a kind of 11 p.m. type thing?
Half 10. Yeah, I don't know. It depends if I have a few drinks. I've obviously
a few like beverages.
Yeah. Oh, obviously I've said I'll do the pick up and drop off, so I wouldn't be drinking till I dropped Hannah back off. But
you get bad hangovers. So if you drink tonight, you won't go out Saturday or Sunday.
True. So well, I guess that's the way to stop us drinking because I'll be driving, so I can't have anything till she was dropped off again. And then it's maybe 10 o'clock by the time I start drinking. 10:30.
Let's be. You get critical hangovers. You like?
Oh, I'm still hungover from last week. A week ago. I'm not actually. I'm critical the next day because I don't eat. We have all these amazing guests come in and they give us all these amazing tips.
Yeah.
And I don't listen to them.
Are you not a post-drinking eater? Like, so at 6 in the morning, 8 in the morning, whatever time it is that you stop drinking after like a persistence or a birthday, are you not then one person that gets like a takeaway? You don't get a pizza, you don't stick something in the oven, there's nothing in the house, you're not a snacker. Do you just go to sleep drunk?
His fridge has got knee food in it, let's be honest.
You've never been to mine, have you?
No.
So when this podcast
You're going to go shopping before tomorrow, aren't you? And fill the fridge
when
up.
This podcast comes out, you'll have finally been to mine, so I actually will go shopping at night and fill my fridge.
Why? So when I come tomorrow, you'll be like, I'm going to cook for all the fucking lads.
Mate, will you actually do that? That's a good shout. That is a good shout.
I'll send you me rate, mate. I'll send you me private chef rate, mate.
I didn't even ask him to do that. He's offered. The lads in the group chat are going to be buzzing. I
hope that was a good old ka-ching you just
I smashed it in Adaboo and then a sad trombone.
Yeah, I mean, it totally depends how drunk I am, I guess. Sometimes I'm like tactical and I'll order like some food earlier and I'll like over order so I've got something when I get back. I like doing that.
I used to over order a Sunday night takeaway, knowing that I'd have some left for Monday night after like DJing on a Monday night, and there's nothing better than like going home and sticking it in the microwave and being like, oh,
just get an air fryer. Just stick everything in the air fryer. Then
even like a Chinese, like, so if I had leftover chicken fried rice,
put in a tray in
the air fryer.
What if I had leftover chicken omelette?
I would probably
burn it,
open the window, just fucking hoy it as far as I possibly can.
Maybe that actually is what I'd do. By the way, that would be my Chinese order. I would get like chicken balls. And a chicken omelette, and I would eat the chicken balls, and I would save the chicken omelette for like when I come in hungover. I'm not even joking.
A cold omelette?
No, I would like put it in the microwave.
Oh, you put it in the microwave?
Yeah. Why wouldn't I do it the other way? I don't want to like reheat chicken balls.
The air fryer, man.
Nah.
Get yourself an air fryer, something will change your life.
Salty chocolate balls.
But yeah, so hangovers sometimes are critical, but again, I should be taking the advice we're giving people. I should go to the gym as we discovered on the
water.
Well, as we discovered on the Freshers episode, blackcurrant and water and going to the gym.
So how you going to? Let's say you're not hungover. Have you got plans? Are you going to see Sue and Steve? Have you got like a lunch date planned? Have you got pre-drinks workout planned? Like what's the day going to look like?
Waggad's coming out with a birthday candle and you had to.
I don't know. I haven't made plans for during the day. Right. I haven't made plans during the day. Obviously, on the night everyone's coming over. I probably will.
Right. So what sort of time? Because we're thinking we might pop by. So what sort of time should we arrive?
May pop by.
We've got to leave some suspense.
I've done a full-on fucking shop for Ant to keep him happy. So the fridge is full. 8 o'clock, we'll say.
8, right, we'll be there. 8 p.m. There'll be no one else there. We'll just relax in this Airbnb-esque city centre flat.
Big old bag of cans.
And then we'll drink our 4 Necros each and leave.
For clarity, you saying no one else is going to be there because you're there early?
No, because all
no one else is going to show up.
No, the other people will be there like coolly late, whereas we'll be there at like 2 minutes to 8 going like, let's in. Right, we're ready.
2 biggest nudes in Newcastle.
We're ready.
Isn't far from a lie either.
People will be there at 8. I think people will get there early. Like my friends like to get places early. On Sunday.
They must fucking hate you then.
Well, I'm never late. The pre's at mine. No, I'm not.
I bet there's been a time someone's turned up when you weren't even there.
It has been
The 100% has been. I've got a mine once and there's a group of people outside mine. I'm just
You get a quick shoot, shot.
Q
Quick cue
photo.
shot.
Yeah. Nah, man, I will be on time tomorrow, I promise.
So then, and have you got, is there anything happening at yours tomorrow night? Have you got like, is there like a birthday cake and someone's going to pop out of it? Is there any kind of, will people be bringing, will we expected to bring cards?
No.
Do you expect cards and presents?
No cards, no presents. We've got a private chef coming.
Right. He doesn't know it yet.
No, he doesn't. We've got DJ.
Yeah.
And what else we got? I sent you the video in the chat yesterday.
You're cooking and I'm DJing.
Yeah.
That's going to work.
Did you get my video in the chat yesterday?
I can microwave omelettes all day long, pal.
You get my video in the chat? Somebody forwarded it to me, so I'd forward it to you.
Which video?
It was basically like a gym where they all get...
Oh, yeah, sorry.
yeah.
It's in Holland or something. Yeah, it's in Amsterdam or something.
So
Yeah.
that's where...
Mate, you literally sent that while I was at the gym.
No way.
And I was like,
I don't believe
why
it.
am I not here? What, you don't... What, is that a fucking fat joke?
No, I just
Just
don't
because
believe
I called you Tubby last week, you're going to get
on
on
the
back
pod.
at us.
A couple of people did comment on that. They're like, why is he calling you Tubby on the pod? I was like, I don't even know. I didn't even come for you. What did I say?
You called, I don't know, he probably called us Uncle Fester or something.
Uncle Fester.
I'm going to comfort you with a would you rather.
Okay.
So we did last time, would you rather only ever be able to celebrate your birthday or Christmas again. That's going to go out as a clip on, it'll have gone out by the time this goes out. I'm going to go for a would you rather. You can only ever have prees at yours or strippers and spot white. You can't have them both for the rest of this year, for the rest of this calendar year, from your birthday to your next birthday.
People are going to listen to this podcast who don't know the context about the strippers and spot white. So the strippers and spot white...
I think they've all worked out the context.
No, the strippers and spot white is purely because nightclubs close at 3, so you stay out and go to the strippers and spot white.
They worked that out.
Yeah, but like, it sounds seedy when you first say it.
So it's prees or it's posts.
Yeah.
We'll call it that.
I don't think Spot White's that seedy.
So you can only have prees or you can only have afters. So the prees at yours or the afters, wherever you choose.
Prees.
So you'd have to keep the prees. You'd live for prees, but you'd be happy to go home when the nightclub shuts.
Yeah, like, live for prees.
On your own. You can't have afters at yours.
Yeah, no, on my own. Take myself to bed. I love the crack, like when all the lads come over and you're all having a bit of banter
and working out,
drinks.
tops off, Desirano. Yeah, and I'll stick that on there.
Honestly, however you want to spin it, yes. I'd rather prees. What about you, Stu?
I'm not, afters for me was like, the afters I used to love was like exactly, I think, as you're explaining, like a very small group of friends, like people that you know really well, that you kind of like have this experience with on the reg. But it was after the club, and it would be you'd be in Shindig or you'd be wherever you were. And this was before I was DJing loads, like loads of nights out, and you'd have your night out and loads of you'd get into like different scrapes or like, you know what I mean? Like different, whatever was going on. And then you'd get back to like the afters, whether it was a hotel room or whether it was someone's house. And you'd basically just tell the stories of the night and then like stories of past nights out and everything else.
That was before the days of podcasts.
Exactly, yeah.
On there instead.
But I think these days I would struggle. I would probably rather, I don't know, it's tricky really.
I wouldn't do prees in the household.
No, I'm not.
My choice. I wouldn't have prees at mine. You know what I mean? I love bar hopping. That's my thing. I love.
Yeah, you're not a big pre-drinker in bars, are you?
Because I think as soon as you start going out to bars and stuff, you're like, there's people there, you know, and you're having conversations. So I think that's why I love prees so much, because
you fucking hate everyone and you don't want to see them in a bar.
I absolutely love everyone. I absolutely love everyone, but like, I think you're like having multiple conversations. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas like, I love prees with just the boys, just the committee. Do you know what I mean? Just all the boys that are having a bit of crack where like, if you want to go on your phone, you can go on your phone. You're not being ignorant.
So this mean when you keep saying the boys a lot? Does this mean that me and Fields are both going to sack with Mrs. off tomorrow to come out?
We just planned on bringing your missus.
Yeah. Is it lads only prees?
It is lads only prees.
You kidding?
Yeah, on the Saturday.
Why on the Saturday?
Because Sunday's like a mixed group.
Right.
Saturday's like...
So there's pre-rules. There's rules to the prees. It's not just a free-form pre.
Well, there was no girls invited tomorrow. It was just the boys. You know what I mean?
Oh my God! That's definitely going to knock you out. Like,
that's not going to go down well.
Just want to. I mean, there's a balcony that can stand on the balcony.
That's fine. I mean, a lot of social clubs are segregated, aren't they? In Walker, do you know what I mean?
They're more than welcome, but like, yeah,
they have to stay in the lounge, which will technically terrace as the terrace. The ladies are in the lounge and the lads are in the bar.
It was all the boys tomorrow. It was all the boys tomorrow.
Well, you didn't mention this to us, did you?
Yeah.
What didn't I mention?
The all boys thing.
Yeah, but did I mention that the girlfriends are invited?
You said?
Yeah.
Oh, they both watched, so I'm going to get wrong again. It's the lad's fault, realistically. But anyway, yeah, we'll put a pin in that one until after the pod.
Right, so we've got the lovely Laura coming up.
Yeah.
She gives a great bit of chat about living in Ibiza, how she got into playing saxophone over house music. I think it's one of my favourite guests, actually. We have like some bits of serious stories. We have really good giggles. We picked her up from the airport.
Yeah.
We took her, so she'd just flown in from Ibiza, and you sort of like saw some other people getting off the plane. So we're waiting for lovely Laura to get off the plane, and then these two girls that Dean knew came walking towards us, and it's fair to say they looked tired.
Right.
I think they looked incredible. Like,
it's fair to say they looked like they'd been to a certain place.
Right.
And Dean went, where have you been? And I was like,
I thought they looked incredible, you know what I mean? I just see all my friends.
It's not.
Well, no, that's a lie, because you hate lasses. You don't invite them in my house.
They're allowed on the balcony.
And they were like, Ibiza. And I was like, it's not a great surprise, is it? We are here waiting to pick lovely Laura up from Ibiza.
There is multiple flights from multiple places.
And at the point where they looked exhausted and just wanted to go to their bed, Dean was like, he's out tonight. And the look of pure terror.
Promoter never stops working.
Water in the blood.
The look of pure terror on both of their faces.
And the best thing is, I sold them both a dream and they both came out that night.
No, they did not.
No, they didn't.
No. I think one of them said she was going to Leeds for a rave the next night, didn't she?
She did.
Right.
Which she was mortified about, wasn't she?
Yeah. She knew there was a lot of mental fortitude was going to have to be like pulled from nowhere.
That is the thing, innit? It's that mental battle you go through when you're hungover, and you know it's going to be me on Sunday. Where I know I'm hungover from the Saturday, and I know I'm going to have to like persuade myself.
So you're going to be hungover on the Sunday before persistence.
Yeah.
But obviously persistence is going to be a huge one.
Yeah.
So we've asked this question a lot in the past. What are you honestly going to do to pull yourself around from your hangover on Sunday?
Do you know what? I don't know if I told you this since I started doing it. Well, I've always done it, but like the last couple of weeks, what I've done is I've just literally got the big 1.5 litre that you were impressed with that time that I had here. I've just literally forced myself to drink one of them before I start drinking.
Yeah.
Force myself to drink one of them when I stop drinking.
Yeah.
And force myself to drink one of them the next morning.
Wow.
Are you not like a get home from a nightclub and have a shower type person?
Yeah, I do actually.
I'll do it. See, anytime I go out, if I have a heavy one, I've got to have a shower.
Is this weird? Like, I'm adamant this is the thing.
Well,
like,
my mates find it really weird.
I'm not a shower post night.
But I'm adamant that like it's to do with like keeping you hydrated as well. Like, I think if you have a shower, I feel more hydrated. My face doesn't dry out and stuff like that.
The steam.
I just say I crack as hot as I can, which I can just barely stand in to just sweat everything out of this.
I don't know the actual logic behind that. I don't claim to like say this is like scientifically correct. My B-Tech's not helping us with this. But like, I don't know, I just feel like maybe it's even a psychological thing. Like, I have a shower, I feel like more hydrated, like fresher, and I'm not as hungover.
Is this also so pre-hangover? Like at this point, you still
not listening to High School Musical.
No, that's what are you listening to at this? What are you listening to at this point?
I don't know.
Do you have music on at this point? Would you normally put music on when you like?
Again, it depends how drunk I am. It depends if I want to keep the party going when we sell in the shower.
On your own.
You know what I mean? I don't know. But no, High School Musical is definitely for the hangover, not for the calm before the storm, essentially.
Right, we'll be back in a few seconds with the lovely of Laura's. Got a little wriggle on. It's Friday. It's the weekend. I'm Felix. This is LooseCast from Newcastle's infamous Big Market. I've got Anth, I've got Dean, and today, who have we got, Dean?
We've got lovely Laura, and we're very excited about this. Very excited.
Direct from Ibiza. She's come here exclusively for this podcast.
She didn't bring the good weather with her. You didn't.
To be fair, as I was coming in, the sun was shining, and then as soon as it hit the ground, I don't know what happened, but it seemed to kind of mist over.
We don't know what happened either. We came ready in t-shirts. I nearly had the shorts on, and then as soon as you arrived, the heavens opened, didn't they?
Yeah. So, like I said, exclusively here for this podcast, but also while you're in the UK, you're going to do Middlesbrough and something in Belfast.
Yes. Something.
Just two places really nice and cool together.
Exactly. I'm cooling down from the summer. So tonight I think it's celebrating 30 years of the Empire in Middlesbrough with Roger Sanchez, which is going to be amazing.
Cracking venue as well. Cracking venue.
I'm pretty excited about this. By the way, I am from the Northeast.
What? You kept that? Hold on, we've been... hold on. How long have we been together so far? About half an hour? A bit longer?
I know, it's only just come out.
And this has only just came out?
Yeah, I actually need to get all my facts in position, which I'm not going to have now off the top of my head. But my granddad comes from... now, I don't know whereabouts. I know they lived in Sunderland.
Right. I'm out. See you later.
This is another reason why if I'm in the Newcastle area, I don't normally mention it because apparently there is a little bit of a...
Slight rivalry.
Nah.
I mean...
Right, okay.
Don't worry.
Shall we end it now?
No. We should
rivalry.
We should expand on it. And is a massive Geordie, so he's going to get offended.
Oh, dear.
I've always explained I'm a bit of a hybrid because I've lived in Chesterley Street, so it's like in the middle of Sunderland and Newcastle, so I'm like sound with everyone, so...
you're good.
You're
good with us, Laura. We'd rather get rid of him than you, so it's fine.
That's the first time he's moved since we got him. So Sunderland area?
Yeah, Sunderland area. My granddad was a pianist. He actually had a jazz band during the war. And I think, his family were from here. I mean, there's so much I could go into, which I won't because I'll go all scatty because I don't know off the top of my head. But yes, I am from up here. That's my mum's side of the family.
Where were you born, though?
I was actually born in Dorset.
Okay, because that's not a northeast accent that you're rocking there.
It's funny. I've got a bit of a mixed one because obviously I'm from Dorset. So when I was growing up...
Can you do the whole podcast in that accent, please?
You know what? I would love to do the whole podcast like that.
Oh my God!
My husband would divorce me.
Do you know what the best thing is? Obviously, I'd like to think a lot of people watch this on YouTube, but for anyone listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, they're going to be... Have they got two guests? That was that good.
Well, that's what it was when I was younger, obviously growing up. And then I moved to Leeds. I lived in Leeds for 12 years to do my jazz degree. And I'm kind of one of these people that I don't know, absorb languages a little bit. And you know how some people, they end up having a conversation with someone and then all of a sudden I'm talking like I'm from up there, you know, and I've got a bit Yorkshire in me.
You've got a career after the saxophone, you know, may or may not ever end. But yeah.
Voiceovers, you're in.
Excellent. I've been looking for some other work. And then, of course, now I'm with my husband, Ben. And he's from London, so of course, now I've got a little bit of the old...
You've got a bit Medway Kent, aren't you, now?
So now I don't know what I am.
Right.
I'm a proper, mixed
An
bag.
all-rounder.
Yes.
All-rounder.
And for people who don't entirely know, you mentioned Ben. That's Ben Santiago, who is your husband.
Yes.
And you two do tour quite regularly, a lot.
Yes.
So I asked the question before, which I immediately regretted, because normally I'm like, don't ask him anything, ask on the pod. So I asked where Ben was. Mm-hmm. You also asked me where Ben was, because you were like, well... It says on the Skiddle listing, and I was like, I think they just come as a pair on Skiddle, because it's like Lovely Laura and Ben.
So I was like, Ben's definitely not coming, is he? Because I looked at the artwork and he wasn't on the artwork, but then I looked on the Skiddle listing and Ben's name was on the Skiddle listing.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. I'll show
you. So is he getting half of the money?
That's not being discussed. No, definitely not.
So where is Ben? Have you just left him floundering alone in Ibiza?
No, he's now in another little group called Melonbomb.
I mean,
there's
little.
4 of them. I know they're doing extremely well.
Yep, shout to the Melonbomb boys.
Yes.
Paul, Reynolds, Ben, who else is in?
Juan Corby.
Yep.
And... yeah, that's it.
Scott
Grace. Scott Grace, sorry.
3 of them,
I thought you mentioned Scott, but I was thinking of Ben. Yeah, and actually, Ben is with Scott in Malta at the moment for the
Defected, yeah.
Party. So, so I've been left on my own. Been deserted.
So should have Ben been here, or was this always known? Was that Malta thing already known, like when Jordan booked you for Middlesbrough and the Empire and things?
I actually have no idea. Right. It's funny because I was only thinking about this on the plane.
Once you'd left it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he'd left for Malta yesterday. I dropped him at the airport and I didn't even think about it. It was only today on the plane I thought, what came in first here? Because I don't really know what comes in and what gets confirmed sometimes. it appears in the schedule and like, right, we're going there, we're doing that, right, brilliant. And I thought, I actually don't know. I should get to the bottom of it.
That is a good question.
It's a good question.
For someone who, like, obviously I don't get booked. We do the booking rather than getting the booked. So for you, like you just said there, it just appears in the diary or whatever it is. How does that process normally happen? So do you basically, like you just said there, does it just, have you got like someone who'll fill that for you and they'll just go, oh, check your updated ones, this is where you're probably going to play if you're happy to do it? Is that how it works?
To be fair, they come in and we do look at them and say, yeah, this looks good, we'd like to do this, or maybe this isn't the right fit or whatever, and we may not do that. I obviously remember, I think, saying yes to Middlesbrough. I love Jordan and I love being up here.
Yeah,
anyway.
shout out Jordan, absolute legend.
He is. And so I remember that coming in, but I don't remember there ever being a discussion of Ben not being on it. So I don't know if Malta came in after, actually.
Got you.
I actually don't know. I'm
Are you
in the dark there.
throwing your husband under the bus?
No, I'm being as diplomatic as I possibly can. Can we move on to the next question?
Next question.
Well, I want to roll it right back.
Oh.
So, I guess...
Same question.
Obviously, the jazz degree thing was super interesting. But the earliest, I guess, I would remember of hearing your name and seeing your stuff would have been the Hed Kandi kind of times.
Yes.
So is that how you... Like, did you become... Lovely Laura, how did you start to play saxophone over house music? Where did that begin?
So that actually began by pure accident. I've always been into music. I've both sides of my family's are musical, so I kind of started piano when I was quite young, got into the clarinet. I think I then started going for my GCSEs, and I wanted to take up the saxophone at that point. And I remember I had so much work on, my parents said, look, focus on your exams and then afterwards think about it. So, of course, I did all that. Still had in my head, I want to do the saxophone, but I was actually, my two strengths at school were music and art. And I remember going to the careers advisor and sort of like discussing maybe, right, art or music. And I remember throwing into the pot, I wouldn't mind being a professional musician. And I just remember that it was like, okay, well, it's only the creme de la creme that will probably make that. So how about we move that to one side and let's look at your art, because with that you can go into teaching and designing and blah, blah, blah. So cut a very long story short, music kind of ended at that point and I went to art college. Did a foundation course in art and design, loved it. That was after my A-levels. Then I got accepted on a fashion degree course in Birmingham. And on the second day of being there, I just realised I've made a huge mistake. I don't belong here. I don't see eye to eye with any of these people. It just doesn't feel right. I love art. I love design. But the course I wanted to do was actually in Derby, and it was more texture and surface pattern. And that really gets me going a bit more in a creative sense. Fashion, I love fashion, but I don't want to sit under, with a sewing machine and start making stuff and all that. It doesn't really interest me that much. So I remember calling my mum from Birmingham. I was in.
Can you do a Birmingham accent?
I wasn't there long enough.
You've ruined the end of the story. I was so enthralled.
So, I on the second day, and this was back, I can't remember what year this would have been, because I didn't have mobile phones then. I had to do it at the box at the end of the road.
Which makes it more brutal, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Walk to the
rain was lashing down. I was all on my own in this big city, this young 18-year-old. And I called my mum and I just said, I don't know that this is right. I don't feel right. And she said, well, right. I mean, she was probably thinking, God, I've just got rid of her. She's on a really good degree course. This is it now for 3 years. And now she's calling me going, she doesn't want to,
Day two.
Day
Dear
two.
Laura in the art course.
Very nice.
We can all do accents.
Yeah.
I mean, you've lived here long enough.
It's only because I saw the advert for Big Brother coming back on ITV last night and I was like, I'd forgotten about his voice.
And I said to her, I don't think this is right. I think I want to come home. And she's like, well, it's all right coming home, but what are you going to do if you come home? And I remember it just came from, I don't know, somewhere. I said, well, I've always wanted to play the saxophone. Maybe I could take up the saxophone. I mean, she must have thought, oh, God, my daughter's losing it. Like, she's just got on this degree course. Now anyway, I won't waffle on. Cut a long story short, I did chuck in the degree course. I took a year off. I got a saxophone. And immediately, I just knew it felt right. It was like I'd found what I was meant to be doing. I am going right back here, cassette tapes of like music playing, and I would have that playing in there, and then I'd have another cassette in the other one, and I'd press record and play in that one, and then I would play saxophone, so it was like recording the sax on top of that cassette, and then I would listen back and hear my sax on the music and decide what I liked and what I didn't like. Anyway, eventually got on a A-level course, got on a jazz diploma course. That led me up to Leeds, where I got on the degree course in jazz. And it was... I was
going to say, just big love to Laura's mum for like that support. Do you know what I mean? Like,
100%.
Big love for kind of like supporting you through that year.
Say, yeah, I have the most incredible parents. They are so understanding, and I'm truly blessed to have had that support and comfort in the beginning of my life, because I know some people aren't so lucky, and I've been truly blessed there.
Because if my little girl rings me up in 10 years' time and says it's day 2 of the course, I'll be like, go back and do at least a term.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, if I think about it rationally, that's what I would have said.
Big love, though. Like, it's great.
But she listened. She must have heard in my voice, this isn't right.
Yeah.
There's something not right. I don't know what it is. I don't think she was happy about sending me to Birmingham. I mean, I come from a little fishing town called Bridport in Dorset. I mean, I was not streetwise at all as an 18-year-old, and suddenly I find myself up in Birmingham.
Yeah.
God knows what would have happened to me, actually. But as it was, I chucked that course in, went back to Dorset, did a local diploma course there and my A-level music. And I grew up a lot in those 2 years as well. I kind of went out, I explored life a bit more. So by the time I got to Leeds, I was ready, really, I think, to be... to be left alone in the
And how much
world.
of an inspiration do you think Lisa Simpson was to you?
Oh my God, she's my idol.
Yes! I want to saxophone.
Obviously, I know you're a massive Simpsons fan, but I did want to ask that.
I actually get requested that. Play the Simpsons theme tune. Yeah.
I really want to ask that, and then I thought all 3 years were going to synchronise. Turner doesn't go, shut up, Dean. But you asked it, and it was reciprocated, and I'm so jealous.
Remind me to get Dan to tell his amazing Simpson story when we get him on.
Okay.
He's got a wicked Simpson story. But yeah, it's kind of because at that time, like, you know, I'm guessing ages here, but like the Simpsons was just huge when like we were younger, and like that was such a huge part. Because I started to play the saxophone because of like Lisa, and I loved it. And it was at school, it was at secondary school, and I also I'll tell you what happened. So like, because I was like, it gets me out of maths.
Fashion designer and stuff.
I was like, gets me out of maths on a Thursday afternoon. The saxophone's for me. 2 things that went wrong. A, I had to carry the saxophone to and from school, and it was like a half an hour walk.
Well, you're missing a trick there. You should do what you did and just get me in feet.
Yeah. It wasn't a nice little like one you've got in a little hard case. It felt like it was absolutely huge.
Then, didn't they?
And also the other thing, which you might know because you mentioned woodwind before, but they have like reeds, and the whole point of the saxophone is that you make the reed vibrate, don't you, to kind of like make the sound. And the taste of wood in my mouth felt really odd and bizarre.
And could also be taken in a couple of days.
And also, the trying to get it vibrate thing felt really odd and strange in my mouth. So I think I got to about grade 2, and
that's good.
Yeah, and then it kind of fizzled off because then I saw the bright lights of DJing and button pressing, and I was like, this seems so much easier.
So I could be really clever and just avoid what's happened there and just left it as you say, you used to do that, and make it sound like I actually could play an instrument. But what actually was the case, I tried to play a flute and I failed miserably, but I did flute lessons.
Oh, wow.
I don't remember how long I did them. Honestly, it's not impressive. Like, I wasn't good.
I'm being encouraging.
I tried. Do you know what I mean? And I was the epitome of, if you can't do it, give up. That was me with the flute.
Oh. Day 2. Day 2 with the flute. Mum, can't play the flute.
What do you do, Long?
My mum was like, Mum, I can't do the flute. She was like, Dean, it's day 2. I was like, I know. She was like, I'm surprised you lasted that fucking long.
What lasted longer? Are you playing the flute or are you trying to skateboard?
The flute. I give up skateboarding after one mistimed ollie / kickflip. Yeah, that didn't work. I also was said about the piano, because you used to do the piano in music lesson.
Yeah.
And I'm sure everyone's done this. I mean,
Press the demo button. And then
DJ. I'm going to say this and you're all going to go, that doesn't even sound like the tune, but everyone used to learn that on the piano, didn't they? Sorry, the keyboard, where it was like da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. No, not doing that enough for anyone. No, was that just...
I thought you were going to say chopstick.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
what's chopsticks?
Which is din 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 din
No, no.
din 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 din.
No, ours was da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That's what we used to do.
Sort of turning Japanese.
Well, yeah, kind of. But that was what
I can do. My one finger on the piano is dun 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 dun. That's it. Yeah, and it just loops around, and it's. I still get it wrong.
we
But
nearly
that's not
started a
one.
car rave before. He was counting down. Honestly, it was just me and him in the car.
I just can't get enough. I just can't get
I
enough.
was like, "Is Laura's flighting yet? I hope it's not. I'm enjoying this."
Having too much fun. What's your musical instrument background? You were like in rock bands.
Yeah, so at 13 years old, I got a guitar. But before that, so God, I'll cut this one short as well. So basically, I moved from Newcastle to a tiny little town called Richmond in North Yorkshire.
Near where Mark lives. Very near.
When I was about 12, 13, and at the time there was a band that was quite big called Alien Ant Farm. And the singer,
criminal.
yeah, apparently the singer, I looked like a younger version of him at the time. So there was
it the eyelashes? Did he have the
Does
eyelashes?
he look like an older version of you now?
Pretty much. And yeah, so basically there was this like Christmas concert on, and there was 3 lads who were in a band and they didn't have a singer, and they were like, "You should come and sing for my band because you look like that singer." And I was like, "Well, I can't fucking sing, so I'm not going to be much help." And then stupidly one weekend I agreed to it, and I went to his house, and then I ended up doing a music degree. Yeah. So I went to Dalton Technology College. I'd done 3 years of music performance and music management.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. And then, but
So
at the
this
time,
is someone that did stay after day 2.
yeah. But I was chefed in between that, so I had like weekend jobs and whatever else. So I was lucky that I kind of had both options available. But yeah, I was like really lucky. I went, yeah, literally. I actually, so he used to have this triangle shaved into his head.
Oh, yeah.
And I literally had that shaved into his head.
Please pull that up on the screen.
I'll put it up. What was their first, before Smooth Criminal, what was Alien Ant Farm's huge
Movies.
No, there was one. Was there not one before that?
That was Movies.
Oh, was Movies
and,
the first one?
Smooth Criminal, like
Right,
the two,
okay.
kind of at the same time. But yeah, so I just basically got from that. So yeah, played guitar. Well, still play guitar now, bass, and tried piano, and it wasn't for me. And then I done my singing grades. Yeah, and then
That's
stuff like that.
amazing.
But also, like me, discovered the dark side of button pressing and became a DJ.
Well, for me, the DJing, no, honestly,
because you can
the
drink
DJing
while
was-
you're DJing a lot easier than playing any instrument. That's what we've discovered.
So I went on tour with a band called the Casino Brawl that are from Newcastle. And at the time, Johnny, their singer, was looking at leaving the band, and they were like, "Listen, we're going to Europe for 3 weeks. Can you just jump in the van and go with me?" So I was like, "Fuck it, why not?" I went to work, I said to the guys, I was like 20 years old, said to my boss, I was like, "Listen, I'm going touring for 3 weeks, I need to go." And he's just like, "Go for it, I'm not going to stop you doing it." So basically, got to Belgium for the first gig, and the guys were like, "Oh, there's an after show party for we need you to DJ," and I was like, "Can't fucking DJ." And they basically said what the money was, and me and the guitarist Mark went, "That's fucking more than we can pay for the show." So we literally came back off that tour and just went to a club in Newcastle called Crash at the time, and we just badgered the DJs. Well, like, fucking show us how to do it. And obviously, DJing rock music and metal music's not hard. It's like, it finishes, you press play. It fucking finishes, you press play. And somehow, I just started getting booked for all sorts. I was doing like hip hop sets and whatever else. I started doing digital with Felix and stuff. And then I think the digital moment was a big one for me, where I was like, yeah, I can get away with this DJing thing. I left chefing for 3 years and whatever else. And then remember doing digital one night and going downstairs to him on the main stage. And I was just stood behind. I was like, "Oh, nice to meet you." Watched him DJ and went, "I need to fucking retire." This world is not for me.
So
it was just a different
You
world.
went to the
wasn't it?
academy, mate. You know, you moved on. So,
So
you've been in Leeds. How do we then become the house music saxophonist of choice? How? Because you said it happened by accident.
It did happen by accident. So I think it actually happened at the beginning of my second year in my degree. There was a guy from New Zealand who was also a sax player on my course. And it just happened this one day. This is serendipity, I suppose, in that sense. I was walking through the college bar. He was in the bar. There was no one else in the bar. And we just started talking, and he was, I think, telling me that he was going to have to leave to go back to New Zealand, but he'd started this weekly gig in Leeds in a little bar called Oporto in Cool Lane, I think it was called.
Yeah.
Or Porto, Oporto. I know it's the place that's different to the actual town in Portugal. So what's it in Portugal? It's Porto.
Porto,
isn't it?
yeah.
So it's Oporto. It was
Yeah.
Oporto.
I remember it on Cool Lane.
Football knowledge, Dean.
Remember?
Football knowledge, mate.
And so he said, he said, that's the thing, I've just started it with this DJ. I'm just jamming with the DJ and it's going really well. And I'm kind of really gutted to be leaving that. And then he looked at me and he went, actually, maybe you would like it. And I was like, well, what do you do? And he says, I literally just go and I jam with this DJ. And I was like, interesting. Okay. Yeah, I quite like the sound.
And there's
I was
money,
like,
you say?
Yeah. Of which I was earning none. So I went down. It was on a Thursday evening. The next Thursday evening, I went down and I just remember sat there watching him and listening to the music that this DJ was playing. It was just amazing. Soul, funk, hip-hop, it was just everything that I loved. And I just thought, this is what I want to do. I just want to play to this music. I love my jazz. I mean, I'm devout jazz musician at heart, but there was something about this that I just knew, I just felt something in my bones, and that was it. So he ended up going back to New Zealand. I don't even remember his last name. His first name was Drew. I don't remember his last name, and I say in every interview, hoping at some point he might hear this, thank you, because if it wasn't for him, I definitely wouldn't be here now. And it just took off. It took off loads. Within a few weeks, I had a manager of a place going, do you want to come and play in our club? So then we ended up doing it was called Sunday Joint, a residency at this club called the Underground in Leeds. It was sort of like a big underground, cool little joint. They had live music every night. So on the Sundays, I'd go in with the DJ and jam with the DJ. And then I met a percussionist down there one day called Pav.
Yeah.
And he was playing with the band before I came on, and he was packing down his kit and he started just having a little tap, and it was quite good. And the DJ at the time was like, this sounds quite nice, having the percussive with the sax, like maybe we could do this. So then he got himself a percussion kit, and then he came down, and then that's how this whole sax percussion thing kind of started, as far as I know, because I hadn't seen it before. Maybe it was going on somewhere else in other places, which I'm sure
Let's pretend it wasn't. You started it, Laura. Own it. We're going to big that up. We're going to spread it.
But it just worked.
Yeah.
And then from that, we had, club owners. I think it was the owner at Tall Trees came in.
So that's Yarm, which is really close to where you're kind of going tonight, Middlesbrough.
Funnily enough, it is. And then we ended up having a monthly gig there. And then the rest is history. An agent got on board. Pav he got scouted one day from Manumission in Ibiza, so he ended up going over to Manumission once a month, I think, or every other week to play. And he used to keep coming back going, you've got to come over here, Laura, you need to check Ibiza out. And I was like, I haven't got time, I've got this, I've got that on, I've got these gigs, and blah, blah, blah. Actually, funnily enough, going back to the money thing that you were saying, which is quite interesting, the money was so much better than jazz. And I mean, which was, I'd drive from Leeds to Manchester across the Pennines for 25 quid sometimes to go and play a jazz gig because I loved it.
Yeah.
But suddenly there was 80 quids, there were 100 quids, sometimes £150 for a gig. And back, this is like late 90s. It was, if you're a student, that's a nice little wallop to kind of have every.
I thought I was a millionaire when I started DJing in that sort of late 90s, like millennium period. When I went to uni in London and I DJ'd in the Sports Cafe in Piccadilly Circus, and they used to give me dinner before the gig, paid me, and then got me a taxi home. And I genuinely thought I'd made it. I was like, you know what I mean? I was like, I'm a million. I might as well be a millionaire. Like, it was incredible. But then, so how did the Hed Kandi thing come about? Because was that as big a thing that I think it is, or were you?
It was a big factor. To be fair, it was,
because this was the heyday of Hed Kandi with Mark Doyle and the full those illustrations, and it was a huge thing in Newcastle. Like, it used to be at Stereo every Sunday. Like, it was huge in Newcastle. That's and in the northeast with you had Tall Trees in Yarm, and then you had that place I've forgotten, To the Man of Born as well. That sound was huge in the Northeast.
It was a great time musically. Actually, I look back at that. So I first discovered Hed Kandi, I think it was in the late 90s. They came, Jazz FM came.
Yeah, because that's where it was. That's where it started.
And I think they came to do like a bit of a workshop. Or not a workshop, bit of a, I don't know what you'd call it. They came with their wares and to promote Jazz FM or something. And they had a load of CDs that you could help yourself to. And I saw these Hed Kandi ones. They would have been the first ones, I think, that were sort of just coming out. And I just remember being really attracted by the artwork, which was one of their big things. They wanted the whole field look, even the magnetic strip that you'd peel back of the CD sleeve and you'd open it, and then there would just be this gorgeous artwork. It was just they were
the last ever brand that was built on CD compilations.
Yeah,
I mean, because Ministry is the annual and all that stuff came before it, but Hed Kandi built its entire brand on CD compilations.
Yeah, it's very true. Yeah.
And so where, can you remember where your first Hed Kandi gig was?
My first Hed Kandi gig would have been in... It's interesting because I had a residency in Barnsley and I was booked separately by the club, and they booked me to come and play on, I think it was the Hed Kandi nights. But I wasn't booked by Hed Kandi, and at the time Mark Doyle was dead against saxophonists, and each month I would end up playing with a different Hed Kandi DJ, and they would go back to Mark and say, you need to check out this girl, like she's actually all right. And he'd be like, no, I mean, to be fair, I do understand and appreciate saxophone is like Marmite. Some people either love it, some people hate it, and I meet those people every day through this whole career. It's quite interesting. But anyway, he was like, no. And then one time he happened to be the DJ playing on the gig, and I was there and I played. And he won't mind me saying this because it was the truth. It is what happened. He actually got on his knees and said, please come and play.
Yes.
Class. He was converted.
He was converted. And then that was it. And then I think that would have been around 2003, 2004. And then I started doing a few gigs with them. My first gig with them was in 2005. The closing, my first Ibiza gig with them was the closing party at El Divino in 2005. And then that was then my first real introduction, I feel, to Ibiza. I had gone to play Manumission about 5 years previous. I didn't really get it. I mean, I was blown away by it, but I don't think I was ready to take on board Ibiza at that stage.
And Manumission's a lot.
Yeah.
Like live sex shows, a lot.
It was,
you don't know about Manumission?
I didn't know about that.
Right, okay.
It was a full-on...
Yeah, really?
I just remember walking around just completely like, whoa, I need to process all of this.
And it was like, that was back at 6,000 people in there and stuff, wasn't it? It was just
privilege.
Privilege. So it was like 6,000 people, and it was run by a couple.
Mike and Andy, two brothers actually.
Yeah,
but Andy was more the business side of it.
And Mike
would be the
girlfriend or a partner.
Claire, and they would do. Yeah.
They would kind of come out with midgets and do sex shows and
incredible parties.
Get me a ticket.
It was pretty full on.
Amazing. Do you know what? On about Ibiza, I'm still devastated. Obviously, using all the story of when I went to Ibiza with my friends this summer, but I didn't. Although I initially said, "Can we go to Ibiza?" The guys arranged it all. I didn't really arrange it. I had a really important phone call with Felix while they were arranging it. He's fuming, and the guys arranged it. So I went, but I remember we were sitting the day our flight left. We were sitting at Cafe Mambo, like during the day, getting some food and stuff, and obviously our flight was coming in like a couple of hours, so we had to leave, and you were on that night. I remember I sent a photo in the group. I was like, "Look who we're missing tonight," because he's a boot. Obviously, they booked the flights based on when they had work and stuff. So it wasn't like they didn't book to see certain people on certain days. They just booked. I think it was. Will it be in the Monday you were playing?
Is it this year?
Yeah,
it would have been Monday.
I think it was the Thursday or the Monday we did. So just basically, so that we only missed Friday and Saturday, Friday and Monday off work. Sorry, so we were sitting on the Monday waiting for our flight, and I remember sitting in Cafe Mambo, and I'm like, "Look who we're missing tonight." This would have been amazing. Luckily, I was so hungover that I wasn't
You weren't actually that too upset.
I was upset who we were missing, but I wasn't too upset that I didn't have to drink again. I was so glad I didn't have to drink anymore.
Well, we've just, obviously it's just been freshers, right, this time of year.
Okay.
And, you know, you've been a professional musician for quite a long time. We've done with a few other guests, and you've just been mentioning it there, kind of like how to get through freshers, hangover cures. So what's your kind of like, if you've been burning the candle at both ends, blowing the saxophone at both ends, however you want to put it, if you've been partying a little bit too hard, how would you recover? What are your next day tips, hangover tips, recovery advice? What does the lovely Laura do when she needs to come round?
I'm actually having to go back to when I used to get absolutely hammered. I don't
So was that like August?
now. Yeah.
July? No.
Brilliant.
I remember when I first started coming to Ibiza and I would go out all night. The next day, I would always have to have a nice cup of tea. Actually, exactly what you just got me today.
What was it again? It was sugar on the side.
Not too much milk.
A little bit of sugar. No, that's it. A little bit of sugar. Nice cup of tea. Not too milky.
Yeah.
You need to taste the flavour of the tea.
Yeah.
And then over there, they do these really nice jars of pate. and like a bag of like toasted, I don't know what they are, those toasted biscuit things.
Yeah. What's the biscuit thing?
It's almost like they're bread, but they're really hard.
So imagine toast
it's like a
bread.
bruschetta.
Maybe that's it. There is a term for it. French toast.
Yeah.
That's French toast.
Yeah.
Pate, French toast, a cup of tea with a bit of sugar, and I would sit there going, yes.
Because for a long time, the thing about Ibiza was the alioli that you could get in Ibiza that you could never get over here, but you can get it everywhere now. But it used to be that thing where you were like, I used to sit with that the same effect. Those little things, that yellow tub of alioli, and just it'd be about 4 bits of French that you're like woofed.
Also, speaking of the tea, anyone from Greg's watching, we are going for this Greg sponsorship, so there is a Greg's cup held by lovely Laura there. Can we get some free pre-pod pastries before the next episode?
And you live in Ibiza now?
We do, yeah. So I met Ben. I mean, I went to, the story is, went there 2005. That was my first Hed Kandi gig there. Loved it. Thought, right, I need to come back here for a bit longer, because I literally flew in, did the gig and flew out. Next year, I went out for 2 weeks. Like a 2-week holiday with some girlfriends, but I'd organised some gigs out there as well, so it kind of paid for itself.
Yeah.
Again, still loved it, and I thought, right, next year, 2007, I'm doing 3 weeks. So I came back 2007, did 3 weeks, and that was the year I met Ben. Completely fell in love. A very interesting story, actually, was that we knew each other through a mutual Spanish friend. And the funny thing was, for about 2 years before we met, our Spanish friend Jose would say to Ben, you'd really get on with my mate Laura. And then he would say to me, there's this English guy in Ibiza called Ben, you'd really get on, you need to meet. But of course you hear these things, you're like, yeah, or whatever. And then one evening, he was already living there, DJing in Bass Bar.
On the West End?
No, Ibiza town.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Do you remember? It used to be it had a bit more buzz about it than it does these days, unfortunately. It used to have the parades that would go past.
Yeah.
That would be...
the Pasha and all that kind of stuff,
exactly. And he used to DJ in a little bar called Bass Bar, and I walked in there with my friends, and they were all like, hey, Ben, and I'm like, who is Ben? Like, someone introduced me. And that's when we first met. He was like, you're Laura, you're the saxophone girl. I was like, oh my God, you're Ben, you're Jose's friend. Oh, right, lovely to meet you. And then immediately I just thought,
I see what he was talking about now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy about those parades, because I took my girlfriend to Ibiza for her first time this summer, just gone, only 2 weeks ago. And I was telling her about these huge parades. So you used to be sat in Ibiza town, and the clubs, or the brands more importantly, would have huge parades, wouldn't they? There'd be like 30 people, all in fancy dress, that have like props.
Carnival.
Yeah, and it would basically, they'd be going through past where Bass Bar was and all those bars, everyone was sat outside, they'd be selling tickets or giving out wristbands and discount and everything else. And I was telling Joe about it, and then this year we saw 3 people with a ghetto blaster advertising something back to the 90s, and I was like, I think that's the 2023 equivalent. 3 people just with a ghetto blaster playing Good Times, dancing to it, and I was like, apparently that's the parade now.
Yes.
I've got a question, not to do with Ibiza, but it was just obviously when you're on about hangovers and stuff before. Obviously, the guys, when you DJ, we've talked many a times, you enjoy to drink as your
I
DJs.
enjoy a social half occasionally.
Plus
whilst pressing
square.
buttons.
A couple of light beverages.
Yeah, a couple of light refreshments.
But yeah, did you ever, I know you're saying don't as much now, but did you ever drink when you performed, or was it always perform then drink? I've always been
You know that
curious
you've got the
to-
saxophone in your mouth while you're
I
playing.
don't mean at the same time, Felix. No, like, would you ever do it when you like? Do you know what I mean? Though I know, like a lot of DJs say, like you enjoy like being a bit merry, having a couple of drinks before, or would you always be sober when you do it? Is it?
No, I think back in the day when I first started, I mean, I was a lot younger then as well, and I think I loved the whole lifestyle of it, the drink, and I loved the feeling of getting drunk and then playing, and sometimes I'd feel like I'd maybe open up a bit more in the music, and maybe it sounded better to me. Now, in hindsight, it might not have done. I don't know. It could have sounded...
Oh, you're speaking my language. Keep going, Laura.
Right.
Absolutely. Right.
But in my little world, my little drunken world, it was like, I was in heaven. It was, pretty anthemic or whatever. I did once drink so much that I fell off the stage in Pasha in London once. And I think that was a little bit of a thing where I thought, actually, I think I need to just slow down a little bit.
Time to check yourself.
I was going to say, how long ago was that? Would Instagram have not been as big?
No,
so you get away with it. You get away with it then.
No, this would have been way back. This was, God.
And would this weekend be like totally sober then? To Middlesbrough tonight, you're going to Belfast tomorrow to do Lush Classical. Shout out to Cole Hamilton and all the crew. So is that going to be a Friday, Saturday, totally sober, or do you allow yourself a drink later on after you've performed, or how will this weekend work for you?
Normally now, I mean, we always usually get given a nice rider, and I like a nice little vodka tonic or a gin and tonic, and a bottle of water. And do you know what? That sees me through.
Nice.
It's funny. I don't need... I mean, I'm working so hard on the stage anyway. I haven't got that much time to drink now. I mean, back in the day, nobody was really looking at me. It was more like I was someone there with the DJ. Now it's almost, over the years, it's developed. It's kind of become a show. So as soon as I walk on stage, it's like, right, all eyes are on you. And you're like, well, I can't just go and stand in the corner and have a few drinks, you know, and have a natter.
And we've just established we haven't mastered the drink.
You're pouring it in!
Like an elephant's trunk.
I'm not one to compare, but Lisa Simpson did it. Lisa Simpson did it.
And it is also an incredible performance now. Like, honestly, I mean, I've seen you a few times. We're not just talking about someone playing the saxophone at the side of the stage. I mean, I remember it was a few years since I warmed up for you and Ben, but like, it is a huge performance night. You are now centre stage, and there's people come just to see you. You're not an addition to the whole show. Like, it's incredible what you guys, the show you put on it.
It is amazing. I mean, I think a lot of credit has to go to Ocean Beach in Ibiza for the way that this developed as well, because Hed Kandi used to have a residency there every Monday.
Yeah.
And Ocean Beach, as we know, are just amazing with their production and the whole shows that they love to put on, the dances, the cranes that come over and all these things.
Have you ever been on a crane?
I have.
Yes!
Yes.
At Ocean
I did
Beach?
3 years on the trot.
Did
Every
you?
Monday I did, yeah. The first year was quite epic, actually. In fact, Ben won't mind me saying this, we had a bit of a domestic the morning that it was going to happen. This would have been 2015. And he always a bit nervous just because he loves me. He's like, I'd rather you didn't go up on that crane. Just because, you know, accidents do happen. You know, we can all take safety precautions, blah, blah, blah. And he said, I'd rather not. And the morning of the opening party, I got a message from the people at Ocean Beach. So we're thinking of maybe bringing you in on the crane. We've made this lily flower and we thought we could put that on the water and then it'll open and you'll just pop out. I mean, it just sounded amazing in my head. And I just remember thinking, oh God, now I've got to.
As long as Wayne's not the one who's like attaching you to the safety harness, do you know what I mean? I think we'll all feel a lot better if it was someone else,
someone who knows what they're doing.
Yeah, great at organising parties. Not sure I'd put my safety of my wife in his hands.
No. And we didn't really. We had a bit of a fallout.
But did it happen?
It happened because I thought this is going to be really good, and because no one's going to expect it. They're going to expect me just to walk as usual on the stage with the DJ. They're going to be looking for that, but it's not going to happen. And it was such an epic moment. There were actually men in tears. It was that emotional because people just screamed. They couldn't believe it when the flower opened. Then I popped out, started playing, and people were a bit like, what? Like, you know, and then that's what happened. And then the year after that, we did another different theme. And then in 2017 was my final year there. We finished, I think I came out the flamingo. That was it. They put the big flamingo on. So, but from starting the shows there, I think that's when Ben and I was like, right, you know what? It works better if we curate a show a little bit.
Yeah.
Instead of just me coming along, jamming, and we don't, I mean, having said this, Ben will never plan a set. This is a big thing for him. As much as I would love to have a planned set because I would know what I'm doing when I walk out on the stage, he refuses. He's like, you know, how can you be so arrogant to walk into a club and know who's in front of you and what they want to hear? And also, what has the DJ just been playing before? What's the DJ going to play after? You need to be flexible. Like, you can't just walk out and go, right, well, I'm going to play this, and this, and, you know, bollocks to everyone else.
Yeah.
And he is right, actually. And I have to say, everywhere we go, he does change it depending on if it's an older crowd, if it's a younger crowd, and you do get a better.
But do you have sort of set pieces in the midst of that? So you'll know a certain track when he plays a certain track. This is a certain thing that's going to happen.
Yeah, some we have to keep playing because I think we'd probably get lynched if I didn't. the Jew bells and the whatnot. They have to be played. But yeah, it's just the order sometimes, which I would love to know, just because I like to plan things in my head, but he's much more of a free spirit and likes to. But do you know what? It means that it's never the same show.
Yeah,
I suppose that's the bonus.
So when we were talking before about some of the questions we wanted to ask, obviously what you've just described there at Ocean Beach, the surprise of how you came out, but you were still, everyone knew you were performing though. It was just how you came out.
Yeah.
We were saying, how was that? Have you had a scenario recently or in the last few years or whatever where you come out as a surprise and nobody knew you were coming? Does that ever happen, or do you always announce? Because I was saying, I feel like you're that big and that popular now. If I was somewhere and Saxophonist came out, you would know it's you straight away if you look. Like, has that ever happened where nobody knew you were coming, it was a surprise appearance?
I get that a few times in Ibiza. We do a few private events,
right,
or weddings, and this is a bit of a thing now where it might be a present from the groom to the bride and he's not told anyone.
Oh, that's
or
brilliant.
vice
That's
versa.
brilliant. That's brilliant.
And I mean, it's an amazing moment for me. I wish I could film it sometimes, but I can't because I've got to play. But I'm sort of stuck behind and I can hear them all chatting and dancing, and then Ben's gone out there and he'll mix in Jubel or something, and you can hear them like that, and then suddenly I appear and they're like, oh my God,
that's amazing.
And that's pretty
no pressure for you two when one of you pops the question.
I'm not going to say that you haven't always been lovely, but at what point did you become lovely, Laura?
I know, it's a bit embarrassing.
No,
I'll be quite honest. I don't like it.
Sounds like a Mark Doyle thing.
It was, well, it was actually the first manager I had. This would have been back in 2001, 2, I think, when I picked up management. And it was Barry at Fresh DJs, actually.
Yeah.
A lot of love, a lot of respect for Barry. He really did help me in those early days. And he also still gives us some lovely gigs. But he used to, I think, get in touch with the promoters after the events, and he'd say, how did the gig go, blah, blah, blah. And he said, and people would just always come back going, she's really lovely. And he said, and I remember the phone call one day, he went, I think I'm going to call you Lovely Laura. I think you should just be called Lovely Laura. That would work, you know. And at the time, I'll be honest, I didn't really care, because I thought, oh, well, if that's, you know, if that's what you want or you think it might work, then. And at the time I thought, well, Lovely Laura, it's got a bit of a ring to it. Had I known where or how successful it might have become, I think I would have maybe gone, let's just think about this a minute, because now I am stuck with it. I have tried, in all honesty, to change it sometimes, because I feel there's a pressure to it. I've always got
there's a pressure to be lovely.
Yeah.
I want to be moody today. I want to be moody, Laura.
Larry Laura.
I was going to say, still keep your alliteration. Please keep your alliteration. Larry Laura. Can I boot you for Larry Laura for a divorce party?
Please, I love it.
Just going to come out, get really angry.
That could be the launch party.
Give you some nunchucks, that kind of thing.
I do the Brandon, as you can see.
Let's do. I feel like I haven't heard an awful AI jingle for a while, so I'm going to play an awful jingle, and Anth is going to read out our loose advice. So we're just going to give some loose advice if someone's asked a question.
Okay.
You're going to go first. We've already touched on this, so we probably might have too much to say, but let's see what happens. I'm going to play an awful jingle. You won't be able to hear it, but I'll tap in when we're ready to go.
Loose advice it, it's a giggle, don't take it to heart.
Just a giggle, don't take it to heart.
Well, if I can still get rid of a tiny little bit from the headphones. So, the loose advice this week has came in from somebody who has asked, my 12-year-old daughter is desperate to learn an instrument. How could she go about it, and what instrument would you recommend to her?
I thought you were going to say saxophone, but actually an instrument.
Yeah.
I would say piano. I think it's such an amazing instrument. It was the first one that I learnt on, and I think it's the easiest one. You can see what you're doing. You can see the keys in front of you. You can hear the notes you can watch you making the notes happen. I mean, with a saxophone, you're moving your fingers, but your eyes are over there. They're not looking down, and they can't see what you're doing. I don't know. I think it probably. 12, she's old enough to actually start a saxophone, I would say, if she's a decent size, because maybe 12, 13 might be a good age to start on the alto saxophone. But I think I would find out what music she loves.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah.
You want to play stuff you love. I don't know. She's probably not going to want to get straight into Beethoven or something.
That's a great point.
I'm just imagining Slipknot saxophone now.
I think my advice would be straight away, which I don't think it counts as an instrument, but I'm sure Ben will be on my side. I would say get into DJing. It's great. It's great. It's a great thing. You can view a CDJ as an instrument. I think you can.
Yeah, I think the world's turned that way now. There'd be a couple of trained musicians. I think I'll probably cave your head. I
still struggle with musical theory, which I think, I would definitely wish I had learned to play the piano. And Ben Hemsley's great on piano. Shaq, I think, is good on piano. And I think that knowledge of musical theory, which I've always lacked, would help me so much. And I thought that was somewhere you might have gone with the piano thing, because like you say, you're seeing it, you're learning your scales, you're learning keys, you're learning.
Yeah, you can play chords.
Yeah,
you can make sounds. I used to love that as a kid, just going in and just playing all sorts of random notes. But you find things that you like. You like the sound of, if I play that with that and that, it sounds really nice.
Yeah.
So and it's easy. You could be 5 years old and do that. You don't need to have kind of matured in order to play a great big double bass or I don't know.
Is there an instrument that you wish you had taken up?
Winner of best question of the day.
I had taken up. I would love to play guitar.
Really?
Yeah.
Violin for me. Honestly, really? I just think the violin is one of the most beautiful instruments, and I'd love to be able to do it. But honestly, in my first school or middle school, if I were to play violin, I was getting my head kicked in.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So I've just never. Honestly, I don't know what it is about the violin. I just think it's such a beautiful instrument.
It's when it's played beautifully.
Yeah,
it is, yeah.
Yeah, not screechy.
As we've heard, though, you can still make people cry with the sax in Ocean Beach. There was grown men crying.
Yeah, that's true.
Have you got any advice for...
I've got some great advice.
Let's go for it. Is it anything to do with that question?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm actually going to answer the question.
Amazing.
But I'm not going to answer it seriously, obviously. Yeah. I was going to say it might be a bit difficult because they're only 12, but I would encourage them to do an art degree, right? And if after 2 days they're not feeling it, then follow in the footsteps and get that saxophonist in you.
Access course.
Yeah. So I do actually have a question, though. So I'm going to go... for someone who likes football and stuff like that. So obviously in football, goalkeepers, keeper gloves, or outfield players' football boots, there's certain cool football boots that come out and younger people want them and stuff. Is it the same with saxophone? Is there certain types of sax? So you had a saxophone, you were I want to save enough money to get this next saxophone. Is there that element as well?
I think there is. There's so many different brands that are. To start with, the one that you wanted was the old Selmer Mark 6 from sort of 1950s, 60s, which obviously they don't really produce anymore. They still produce, but they're different.
Yeah.
I remember seeing one.
The Les Paul of the saxophone world, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I guess, obviously, before you go on and describe this, was there a moment for you where you were working towards getting a really good one that you wanted, and then how did you achieve that? When did you get that?
It was, I remember back at college, I think I did my I'd done my grade 8 and I did my jazz diploma, and I was about to go to Leeds to start the jazz degree, and I just became aware that the horn I was playing, it was a student Yamaha model, amazing model to start learning the instrument. But I found then I couldn't do certain things. If I wanted to go up high and do high harmonics, it would restrict me sometimes in what I was doing. And my teacher at the time said, I think it's time you move on to get yourself a special horn. You're going to go and do a degree. And I remember thinking, right, I've got all these saxophones. There was all these different brands. And the one that felt most comfortable, and I still play that brand today, is the Yanagasawa, just because they're a Japanese brand of saxophones, but I've got really tiny fingers or tiny hands, and I couldn't stretch to reach the bottom keys on some of them, and that included the Selmas. I just thought I can't. It's just, I mean, you can do things where you can maybe build stuff up on the keys so that you can make your fingers reach it, but I got a Yanagasawa, and it just felt like I'd come home, really.
Nice.
Yeah,
so since then, I've actually got about 3 or 4 Yanagasawas now.
I was going to say, so this weekend you're doing obviously the gig tonight and the gig tomorrow. Will you use the same saxophone for both?
I
Obviously,
will.
we brought one, as we know, because it wasn't trusted to stay in my car.
No.
You missed this. Obviously, as we're leaving, they're like, I'm going to take that in just in case. I was like, but the car? Like, well, what about the clothes? We can't lose the clothes as well. Get in the car. Are we just happy?
Yeah, but you just can't drive somewhere later on. Laura can't perform late somewhere on. That's the difference.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
You can
true,
get your food delivered.
True.
Whereas Laura hasn't got anything to toot on.
So obviously you've just brought one this time, but do you sometimes change it for what gig it is?
At the minute, I'm sticking with this one. I quite like this one. It's a bronze body, and it's got a silver crook at the top. That's the bit that comes out the top with the mouthpiece on, and it's got a silver bell, which is obviously the big bell that comes out at the bottom, and that gives a lovely. You've got the warmth from the the bronze. Sorry, not brass. Did I say brass?
Yeah.
Sorry. Bronze, but you've got the warmth from the bronze, and then you've got a bit of brightness from the silver, and I'm really enjoying it at the minute. It's bright, but it's not too tinny or
Shrill.
Yeah, it's got a bit of warmth to it. So
It's the Maitland
Get
word. That.
endorsements now. Like, will you get a company approach you and be like, will you please use our equipment? Or
actually, I never get anyone approach me. No, I've kind of gone to. Well, actually, once I think Yanagasawa, I do have a little thing with them, and that was dating back to 2007. I think it was 2007 or 8 when I supported Take That on their Beautiful World tour, and it was such a big thing that someone said, "Look, you should maybe speak to Yanagasawa," because I was playing Yanagasawas then, and the guy that was the representative of them sorted something out. So I've got a nice relationship with them. I do also have a little endorsement with the reeds I use as well. And I can't think of the name. That's so bad off the top of my head.
Well, I want to take you back to a bit of vinyl that I used to own. I think I got it in the late 90s, and it was called Eclipse Makes Me Love You, and I used to play the bejesus out of it. And you and Ben have released a version of it on Trick recently.
Angel.
Yeah, which is the old Sister Sledge.
Yes.
So Sister Sledge is the original.
Yes.
Eclipse Makes Me Love You is the version that I fell in love with in the late 90s. And so tell us about, so you've got a release on Patrick Topping's label.
Yeah.
Trick. And that track is, where did that come from? Did Ben have something to do with that? Like, was it your idea? Where did the idea for the record come from?
Ben loves it. And I mean, the vocals are just so happy and uplifting, and just I like to try and give a bit of positivity on the gigs if I can. And so I was just thinking this could really work. So we took it away, worked on it, and I was thinking, right, I'll put some saxophone on it. We spent ages trying to get saxophone on that track. And do you know what? Sometimes it doesn't want it.
Yeah.
We literally...
And that's why there is no saxophone on it. And it was a bit of a dilemma, because we thought, God, are we going to alienate a few fans? They're going to be like, oh, Ace, Laura's got a new track coming out, Angel Wicked, and they go and press play, and like, where's the saxophone?
Do you play saxophone over it when you play it out live?
Yes, so when I do it on the live gigs, I'll play saxophone over it. But for the actual recording, it didn't work. I mean, we tried. We spent a few days doing different takes, and then I just listened to it, and I think it just sounds like karaoke saxophone.
Yeah.
And it needs to be a part. It's almost like I'm trying to make the sax work with this track, as opposed to starting with the sax and then making the track, work with the sax, which is what we usually do. But because we loved this one so much, and Patrick loved it as well, we were like, right.
Yeah, I've seen the videos of Patrick playing it in Printworks, and it's it's incredible.
So good.
You got any more questions?
No, but we need to get you involved with us here. So I don't know, we've already had this conversation on the way over. We were close for LooseFest this year, weren't we?
I know, you said.
But we'll definitely. I'm going back to the team. We're having some conversations.
I always like to mine a bit of Ibiza information from knowledgeable locals. So, could you give me a restaurant or two that you really like to go and eat in on the island, and even restaurants? Where would you kind of go if you and Ben were having a night out? Nothing too crazy, but is there somewhere like a lesser known place that I could note down for next summer and go and visit? Where do you like to eat on the island?
Do you know what? We're so busy, we hardly go out anymore. But I'm trying to think. We discovered there was a nice little Greek restaurant. Now, I don't know what that's called, so that's useless information. But off the top of my head, I like to kind of keep it rustic, very chilled, and there is an amazing, you might even know it, it's the Fish Shack in Salamanca.
Yeah.
It's just down from Sapunta, actually, on the rocks, and they catch their fish every day, and they literally serve it up to you. You're sat on the rocks on a couple of rickety old chairs, and they have the choice of fish that they have, and it gets grilled or oven baked, however, served on a plate with just simple salad, simple boiled potatoes. It's all you need. A little canya or a little glass of wine, some olives, the sea, Doyle Villa.
I mean, what an answer. I'm so glad you didn't ask me, because my answer would have been lovely place at Ibiza. It's called KFC. Right?
No. It's on the corner. You know where it is.
Actually, can I just say... So last week we did actually have some time to go out for food, and I've just remembered.
I thought you were going to say KFC.
You went to KFC.
Well, it's
honestly, I'm full of the Ibiza advice, Laura. I'll keep it all right.
It reminded me because it's near Burger King. Funnily enough,
yeah.
As you go into San Antonio, you got tapas. You've probably heard of it before.
Yeah.
If you're heading into San Antonio. From the dual carriageway, you reach the egg roundabout.
Yeah.
You'll do a left at that roundabout so that you would pass Eden and Esparadiso.
So you're going towards O Beach, round the bay.
Yes, going towards O Beach. Yeah, because you could come in the other way. And it's just past there on the left. There's a sign for tapas, and you go down a little camino, a little road, and they are smashing it at the minute. They've been open a few years, but the food, the service, everything was incredible. We had the most amazing meal there last week, so I can't believe I totally forgot about that. So I'd absolutely recommend
Ben's going to be livid if he watches this all the way to the end. He's going to be like, "How could you forget our special date night?"
But that's why I should always mention KFC, because it can prompt other good answers. I mean, mine was disgusting. We went Ocean Beach, and then obviously after a day of drinking, I was like, I need some food before we continue. So we went to KFC. And then we continued. I think we went to Eden. The lad, I told you, didn't I, last time? The lads like going down the
West End.
The West End, yeah. So we went to West End and then to Eden. And then I was really hungry, and so I went back to KFC again. I know,
Double
right?
KFC.
The worst thing was, you'll hate this. I always get wrong off hand being a chef for like how picky I am with my food and how I'm modified. So my other one I've never told you before, but this is fine in England. Apparently, it's not fine in Ibiza. I get like the 3 chickens on the bone, but like normally you'll just get what you're given. I don't want to get what I'm given. You know what I mean? I come with a bit of nice. He's fuming at me again.
I'm just waiting to see this guy.
He's not a get what he's given kind of boy.
No, I'm not. I'm not demanding it. You know what I mean? Lovely.
You are
Dean,
requesting it.
Lovely Dean in this scenario. It wasn't a. What was it? What was the other one? What's the new brand we're going for?
Larry.
It wasn't. I mean, I was a bit Larry.
Larry Laura.
I'd had a drink, but my point was, I was going. Can I get my 3-piece chicken? But can I please have 3 drumsticks? Because I don't like the thighs. Come on, that's a fair thing. No, are we judging? Are we agreeing?
Thighs better than a drumstick.
No, really.
100%.
Oh, well, I wanted 3 drumsticks. I didn't want the thighs, so I was like, normally I'll ask in England, and they'll be like, I was like, I hate me that guy, but can I get like 3 drumsticks? And they're like, yeah. They weren't doing it, and my mate Jason, shout out Jason, you're my ex-friend now, because I don't like him after this moment. He was standing behind us in the queue, and again, we've been Ocean Beach all day, and he was fuming at me. This guy, he just obviously didn't understand the English great, and I was like, please mate, I was like, just 3 drumsticks, and that he's like, can't do that. I was like, you can just 3 drumsticks. I was like, do it back in Newcastle.
I do think sometimes the Spanish in Ibiza can be a little bit unhelpful to English.
He definitely
people
didn't want to help us.
at times.
I think if you'd just come out of Ocean Beach, they probably clocked you when you walked in.
He's one of them.
Here we go. We got trouble now.
But then the worst thing was I came back later and I was absolutely fuming because obviously we went to the West End, went to Eden, came back. Jason definitely didn't come with us to KFC this time.
Oh, no.
He'd fallen out with us because I took too long. And I went back and I was like mortal at this point. I was like, can I get three chickens? But can I get can I get it on the drumsticks? And the woman was like, yeah, no problem at all. Got us 3 on the drumsticks. I was like fuming. Sent it to Jason. Sent Jason a photo with me 3 like that. Yeah. So I got it in the end. But yeah, KFC is my recommendation if anyone wants a quick.
If anyone ever visits the far off land of Ibiza and you're desperate for something to eat and you want to try something new,
don't listen to the experts. Listen to me.
Go to KFC. Right, let's get Laura in a car down to Middlesbrough. It's been delightful. Thank you so much.
It's been brilliant.
So
One absolute legend.
So
Thank you.